Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are having a fantastic day. So today's upload, as you can tell by the title of today's video, is going to be a discussion about the upcoming system. I mean, this one has the potential to be even bigger than the one that just occurred across Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Iowa. So this one dropped, not really North Dakota, but South Dakota and Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa. Really, those locations really got quite a bit of snow. Seriously, 6 to 7 to 8 inches was widespread. A bit of an overachiever, but I would say around as much as they forecasted. They were pretty spot on with it, and I was as well. But let's look at this next system. As you can see, it moves off from the southwest right now, sitting in Nevada, and I mean, it's just spitting up loads of moisture. You can see it just drags a crap ton of moisture from the Pacific Ocean. Oh yeah, by the way, before we get into this video, if you like this channel, please consider subscribing, as it really means a lot, so thank you for that. But notice it brings in a lot of moisture, seriously, from the Gulf of Mexico. This brings Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, a lot of unstable weather, some snow showers, some light rain. You can see that brings it through, and this is as far as the new model run goes, up to 42 hours. Let's go to the previous one. And I could record it, after this upcoming one would come in. However, I do not have the time, as that would take probably another hour to come in, and I do not really have that time. Today I have something planned after this, but you can notice how 996 millibars, 991, 985, it really strengthens quickly. 978 really delivers quite a packful punch across northeastern Wyoming, southeastern Montana, and into western South Dakota. Then this thing moves off, and you can see delivers some snow to the northeast. Well, it starts really weakening. It kind of wraps itself inside of itself, so it almost self-destructs itself. Then you can see a lot of scattered snow showers, rain showers across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. Then earlier in the week, there was some talk about a potential redevelopment of a pretty potential big system across the Northeast. Now it seems like as if that's not going to really occur to the same extent, though there could still be some development, and maybe a little bit of snow across the Northeast coast, where 1 to 3 or 4 inches. Then we see a little bit of a weird pattern. We see a potential snowstorm on Tuesday, Wednesday, but then we get a cool blast of air and a little bit of warmth and coolness. I mean, it's tough to say at this point. Like, if someone were to ask me what does December look like, December, again, I said this in our previous video, it's one of the hardest months it looks to be in our forecast. I mean, seriously, December may be a surprise, it may be very cold, very snowy, or it may be very warm and very hot. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, honestly, at this point, it could go either way. That's where we're standing. So if you want a little bit of perspective on how confident I am, it's November 27th. And I'm not as confident. I'm as confident as I've never been. I mean, seriously, my confidence is really low about December. So I will release a forecast, but it may not have the same value as I had for November. For November, I was pretty confident. October as well. December, not so much. But notice with the snowstorm, there's going to be a few pockets of well over 12 inches. In the mountains, there's just going to be pockets over 50 inches of snow in the Sierra Nevadas. And in the mountainous northwest, around 2 to 3 feet. Once we get into the plains, nothing really significant. Sorry, not in the plains. In the Midwest, nothing really significant. You have to go to the plains like South Dakota, Montana, North Dakota to get into the mountains, like up to a foot and a half. Then you go into the northeast, you get 7, 8, 9 up to a foot of snow. So that is that. The snowfall amounts I feel like have decreased with this last system, but notice the CMC still puts out a good load of snow across the upper plains and a little bit of different orientation than what the GFS does. You can see it centers it more across Minnesota, South Dakota, and UP of Michigan, rather than Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota, western South Dakota. Then it also has a little bit of extra snow for the Northeast. Now, which one is more likely to come true? We'll have to wait and see. At this point, it seems the GFS has a little bit of a better handle on this, though it's nothing awfully too convincing. But you can see that the European is kind of in between both of them. So you can see some of these locations would see easily up to a foot of snow in these spots. Except across these locations, that's mainly from the first wave of the snow. You can see right there, the first wave snowfall. So we'd have to wait and see. Notice Northeast also gets a little bit of snow. The European still puts out quite a darn good amount of snow for areas like Connecticut. We're 8-7 widespread inches, maybe 4 to 3 as you go further south. Boston seeing 12 to 11. But that's in the next 10 days from, well, yeah, that would be. So that could actually be pretty impactful. So that storm looks to be rather, it's going to be a powerful one for sure. And it's going to be one of the worst time frames of the year towards the end when everyone's going to be traveling back from Thanksgiving. Notice 8 to 14 day outlook from the Climate Prediction Center is warm across a good portion of the country. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not, if I were to make a prediction, I would definitely not do that, but I also wouldn't put extreme cold or, or just overall cold across the country. Right now, I'm leaning a little bit towards the warmer side of December. I think it'll be rather a warmer month, or as I said back in November. However, that could still change as things are just very, 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 very confusing right now. I mean, seriously, these things are throwing us a curveball as forecasters. I mean, if you search up December forecast, there's not much unanimous, can't say it. Okay, well, there's not much agreement among these forecasters as to what December will look like. Some are showing a little bit of colder, some are showing a little bit of warmer, but we'll just have to wait and see. Let's look at some of the high resolution models at the snowstorm, and let's take this step one by one, or the storm one by one, really. So again, it is occurring across the western U.S. right now with quite a load of precip coming in from the Pacific Ocean into Mexico and into the Texas Panhandle and Oklahoma Panhandle. There will be quite a bit of snow occurring there before that transitions to all rain and ice. That lifts to the north, doesn't really do much, really. I mean, honestly, you can see it kind of dissipates into a little bit of snow across Iowa, but that's about it. The main storm is out here in the west, and this thing really just takes opportunity of what it's given. And notice the NAM doesn't have it really too awfully strong like what the GFS has. It has at 993, the GFS has it like 973. But it has more snow with this system, so it's not necessarily, the stronger the system, the more snow. Whereas the track and the placement of the storm it could be even more, is usually more what matters. And you can notice that it delivers quite a pack across Wisconsin, Minnesota. Though I think honestly this radar image, this near surface reflectivity is overdone by the NAM. If you look at the total snowfall, which wouldn't even be done at this time of the storm, as it would still be snowing, you could see some preliminary amounts would be around 13 to a foot, just generally 6 to 12 inches. Overall widespread, and some pretty good amounts across Iowa, Wisconsin, even northern Illinois, as we don't see what's happening in the northeast with this, as it's still a little bit too far out. Let's look at the long-range HER model. You can see it delivers quite a bit of snow across, the Panhandle, New Mexico, the mountains, but Kansas really doesn't really see much across these areas from this first wave. Obviously, the storm still hasn't occurred across these locations at hour 32. Or whatever hour we're out. Yeah, 32. It's still sitting in the desert southwest, as you can see, just spinning up. And we'll just have to see what this model does, because usually what the HER does is what actually happens. I mean, this model is, because it goes out to 32 and only on every 6 hours, usually only going out to 18 hours, is why it's so darn accurate. So, I mean, we could look at some of the other longer, higher resolution models that don't go out much further. You notice that they start bringing out the precip out of the desert southwest, but none of them really are long enough range to, this one's still coming in for the newer one. And this one brings it out a little bit further than the rest, but it's still a little bit too far out to refine the details. But overall, it looks like a pretty powerful system will be impacting the United States. You can see across Saturday and the weekend, a lot of snow across the Midwest, and it looks overall very active. So a big storm is definitely coming towards the United States, and this storm will be a powerful one. A lot of snow, a lot of rain. And again, it will be impacting your travel. So if you're traveling anywhere around that time frame, or on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, whether it's, traveling to those locations by plane, you'll probably have some sort of delays or maybe even cancellations, as there could be whiteouts, high winds, or a thunderstorm, or there just might be, by traveling by car across the upper Midwest, and you will have problems as well if you're traveling across the weekend, late Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It looks pretty miserable as well, so that's something to point out as well. But earlier I was mentioning the talk about December in the long range forecast, where I will be making a video about that soon, discussing, December and what's to come. But again, it's going to be a tough video to make in terms of not, the actual, I guess, motivation to make it. It's going to be the actual, the reasoning as to why I think what will happen. I mean, some of these things contradict each other pretty darn well. If you look at the latest GFS, however, the 12Z, it showed a cold air mass across the country, 384 hours out. And you can see that that's pretty chilly. And the other thing is that it also shows this cold air mass across Europe. And usually when we see cold air across Europe and the North America, or just the United States, at the same time, then usually that means that the NAO pattern negative is occurring, and that could indicate towards some, polar vortex displacement, colder weather and stormier weather, which I don't know if this, this GFS is onto something or not. We'll have to wait and see. As of now, it looks as if, things are just gonna remain uncertain. We'll just have to take things one by one, and obviously this big storm is the first thing in our way. So again, stay tuned to your local weather service, stay tuned to the National Weather Service. Watch this video, go to Tropical Tidbits, and thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video and consider subscribing to the channel. See ya. Bye.